Hey, stay tuned for March market stats for Northeast Columbia 2023. You don't want to miss it. There's so much going on out there. You talking about interest rates and home prices and recessions and supply chain and what's going on in China and the political system. And believe it or not, it's like the ripple effect, the butterfly effect. All these things can have an influence on the bond market when you think about the Silicon Valley banks and how all that's affecting real estate. And not only that, but here in Northeast Columbia. So stay tuned because you don't want to miss it. There's been a lot going on talking about the recent collapse of the banks, everything that's going on with oil prices, with supply chain, and all these things have a direct effect on the economy. Anything that affects the economy will have a trickle down effect on jobs when you think about unemployment, and all these things ultimately affect interest rates as well as the housing market and home prices. So let's see what we're doing here in Columbia, but specifically Northeast Columbia, South Carolina, for the month of March. Now you gotta remember we're out of the craziness that we were in, but there's still an inventory shortage, and you'll be able to see that clearly as we go through this month's market stats. When you look at the number of closed transactions that we had this past year, we're down 32%. So last year we had 335, and this year we only had 229 closed transactions for the month of March. When you look at our sales price, we're still up 2%. Last month it was, or last year it was 298,554 was the average sales price, and this year it's 303,189. And we'll dive more into that later because that number can be slightly convincing. So I really want you to understand what's been happening with our sale price over the past 12 months. But when you look at available inventory, we're right where we were at last year. We got a little bit more at 631 versus 618 opportunities currently on the market. So we're 2% better. So virtually the same. But as you've been following, you know what we like to talk about. We like to talk about average days on the market, so how quick homes are selling, and we like to talk about list to sell price. That's how aggressive buyers are being, or how unreasonable or reasonable sellers may be being in their list price versus sell price. So for the month of March 2023, our list to sell price ratio was 99.21%. So sellers are still pretty much getting full price offers. Buyers are pretty much paying full price for the property. Now, this doesn't take into account closing costs, which we have seen more sellers be reasonable to pay some kind of closing costs or seller credit, whether it be a rate buy down or anything like that. But the big factor is the days on the market. We're at 64 days on the market for the month of March, which in comparative to last year seems like an eternity when things were selling in a matter of days. So now 64 markets, so we're right over 2 months on the market, which still is not egregious, um, which is still not a horrible time to sit on the market. So what I did want to do was go back and compare though when we look at what we've been doing over the past 12 months, because interest rates, as we know, have also changed drastically. And this is affecting how you look at the market. So you hear that home prices are dipped, the home prices are dropped. Where's the truth to that? Where's the data behind that? Where's the accuracy? So take a look at this chart here. And this shows you the average sales price from March 2022 all the way to March 2023. And so we see we started at 298 and right now we're at 303, so we're up 2%. But if you look at how it went up in April, it was at 316, May 329. It plateaued at 330 in June. In July, it came back down to 323. August, back up to 329, 322. And then you see it dip there in October drastically to 300,000. In November, it hit 296. December popped back up to 326. That appears to be an outlier from the research and data, most likely because that was when a lot of new construction homes closed. So those homes were already on the market, and that's why the month of December, um, that jumped back up to 326. But then you see in January it's back at 298. But since January, it's been slowly going up. So January was 298. If you look at its lowest point, which was November 296, December is an outlier, but then January it was 298, February it was 302, then March it was 303. So now we're seeing home prices slowly start to go up. Of course, they're not going up at the rate that they did last year. They won't. We can't expect that, but we can expect home prices to continue to go up. And why? Because we still have an inventory shortage. There still aren't enough houses. And so when you look at the market absorption rate, so this is if you take the average number of homes that sell each month and you divide that into the number of homes available, how many months of inventory do you have? So you see in January and February, we had 3 months, and in March, we dipped down to 2 months worth of inventory. So we don't have enough. A balanced market is still 6 months worth of inventory. And the data is still showing this because even though home prices and the days on the market, home prices dipped. Now they're trickling back up since we turned the corner of 2023. But when you look at the days on the market, even though the days on the market are getting extended, it went from 46 to 51 to 60. Now we're at 64. But they're still getting pretty much full price offers. You know, the lowest it's been in the past 12 months was at 98.72%. 98.72% was the lowest list price to sell price ratio. So that means if a house, for example, was at 100,000, the seller sold it for $98,720. So virtually pretty close to a full price offer. So sellers are still getting their number for the most part, even though the property may be sitting on the market a little bit longer because now we don't have enough houses, but the lack of demand because of interest rates have kind of slowed the market down. But as we continue to go into spring, now we're in April, hitting the heavy spring market. School's going to be out in 2 months. So this is when people are really thinking. You think about the military, they're PCSing in and out during the summer. So we're starting to see a lot of VA or homes bought by military personnel coming back on the market if they're not going to rent those out. So now we're starting to see a little bit more movement. You know, now since interest rates have where they're at, they're going to trickle down. You know, is what we see. They're going to fluctuate anywhere between the sixes. You know, between the low, mid, and high sixes is pretty much where they're going to be this year until that changes. They may dip into the fives. You know, if the raise them, they may tip into the sevens. But for the most part, the rates are going to be in the sixes. So it's important that you know this, that you work with an agent that knows this so they know if you're selling, how you have to be more strategic in how you sell now. Because the interest rates are higher, which means that same price point, buyers are paying more. So even though the price is the same, the value is not because buyers are paying more per month for that same house because of the interest rate. So how can you add value? It's important that you know that you work with an agent that knows that to position you in the right way. If you're a buyer, you got to know what properties to be looking at. How can you work on the rate? Are the rates going to come back down? Refinancing. All these things are things that need to be considered. I hope you found this informative. If you want to know specifically about your house, you're thinking about buying and you want to talk about what we can do to position you to be successful in this market, please don't hesitate to let us know. Before we close out, though, check out the graph for this month as we look at how Northeast did per price point. The most active price point, of course, is still that 200 to 300 and 300 to 400 range. And that makes sense since our average price point is 300,000. So look, we have 207 homes pending in that 2 to 300 price range. That is incredible. We're starting to see inventory or actives catch up, but that pending that shows that the market's getting active again. People are gearing up for this spring. So we anticipate to see a lot more properties come onto the market, and we anticipate to have a very, very active season for selling and for buying. Because now buyers who were priced out last year, you're not competing against 15 offers anymore. You still may compete against two or three, but you're not competing against 15. Now sellers are taking offers that may have a contingency on it where a home is to sell. FHA offers are being considered as well as VA, which was very difficult last year and challenging for a lot of the FHA and VA buyers. So there's a lot happening that's good for the real estate market. Buyers can still get a quality house, sellers can still get a reasonable price for the house, even giving some concessions to the buyer. So we anticipate a heavy spring market, a very active spring market. And if you want to participate, act now. Give us a call. We'd love to just have a free consultation with you to see how we can be of service. So if you think about selling, please reach out. And if not, stay safe and share this video. Thank you so much and have a great day.